If you have two options, the dairy and the non-dairy, how do you then justify buying the dairy that causes animal suffering? How do you then justify it when you have two options?
Because I don't feel it causes animal suffering.
But there's a difference between what you feel and what is objectively true, right? So an animal in a slaughterhouse who has their throat cut, that's an objective form of suffering.
Again, one tastes better than the other, and number two is...
But even if it's just about killing the animals, because now you're not talking about like the artificial insemination.
It's the whole process, of course.
But just like, how do you justify the slitting of an animal's throat for like your pleasure? You can say that even if we're using like natural analogies,
sure.
Any animal in the wild, do you then call them morally unjust?
Do you believe that animal cruelty is wrong?
Definitely, yeah.
If you're not vegan, you're pro-animal cruelty because you're paying for it.
The world doesn't work that way. So not eating vegan doesn't make me pro-animal cruelty.
But you're paying for animal cruelty.
I'm paying to eat.
Which is from animal cruelty.
Okay, so the health aspect of a vegan diet is important if you consider that there have been vegans that have killed their babies, that have maimed their children, and many young children have suffered at the hands of vegan parents. So do you think these parents need to be informed better about how to properly and adequately nourish a child on a plant-based diet?
No, because I think for every person that you just said, which was probably just made up and I don't even know what you're talking, well, I don't know what you're talking about. For every person that you say is vegan who's harming themselves or their children, I can name at least 1,000 non-vegans that are harming themselves and their babies with their diets and lifestyles.
I don't know any other way to do it. Would you rather they used a hammer? How else are you meant to dispatch an animal that's in a slaughterhouse?
Well, how are you supposed to do it humanely?
Because you stun the animal first. The animal is stunned
stunning
first.
a human being is okay if it's done humanely?
We're not talking about human beings. We're talking about the food chain.
We're
talking about pigs and cows.
What's the difference between stunning someone in the head and slashing their throat open and stunning a cow in the head and slashing their throat open morally?
So you make no differential between taking the life of a human and taking the life of an animal.
Well,
you can't seriously believe that.
Pigs have the intelligence of a 3-year-old child. Now, what is the moral difference between a pig and a 3-year-old child?
So you would argue that there is no difference between taking the life of a human and an animal. You raised the point that there's an ethical issue here, and I'm simply countering it back, that in fact there is a moral difference between us and animals.
Well, what is it? What is it?
So you wouldn't support the idea that people can
Well, you're saying there's a moral difference between a 3-year-old and a pig, and what is it?
You want me to articulate why we are more important in the food chain than a pig?
I want you to tell me what the moral difference is between a 3-year-old and a pig.
Because we have a food chain, because we have a pecking order, because we have a diet, because we have
wait a second. Does a food chain mean moral? Does a food chain mean ethical?
Well, why are you the barometer of morality?
I'm asking you what the moral difference is between a pig and a 3-year-old, and you can't answer it.
But I'm asking you why you believe you can set that moral compass where you want it to set.
Why I can set a moral compass is because you adhere to your own moral system.
But we are building...
So you adhere to a moral system where you don't think human beings should be stabbed, but you don't adhere to that same moral system. You have a double standard for pigs. Now, I'm asking you what the moral... Yes, because I don't happen to think that a pig... I answered your question. What's the moral difference between a pig with the intelligence of a 3-year-old and a child that's 3 years old? What's the moral difference?
What is the greatest contribution to the planet Earth of a pig?
You answered a question with a question.
I'm asking you the question.
Yeah, well, there's no moral justification for doing so. How do you morally justify killing an animal?
I have no moral reason other than the fact that I am at a higher food chain than they are.
So might makes right?
Yep.
Okay, so I can go rape someone then?
No.
Might makes right though?
No, because you will then have to risk being raped yourself. We live in a society who agrees that if you go around raping people, and there is no law against rape, someone will eventually come and rape you.
But
so it is the law. Do unto others as you have them do unto you.
Oh, so would you want people to stab you in the throat?
We don't extend that. I don't share a social contract with animals.
Yeah, but we could find tribes that don't share a social contract with us. Tribes that can't speak English. Can I go and Holocaust them?
No, I don't go and live with those tribes.
But is it okay for me to kill them because there's no social contract?
Technically, if they are imminently about to kill you, yes.
That's not what we're talking about because the animals aren't going to kill us. Tribe, they leave us alone. There's no social contract. Can I kill them?
The tribe is a human being.
Yeah.
I share a social contract with all human beings, all Homo sapiens.
They don't share a contract.
Well, I as a human with a brain that's much more developed and has a way larger capacity for suffering than a chicken ever could.
Do you think a chicken does suffer?
Yeah, definitely.
So then if they suffer, what right do humans have to cut their throats open?
What right?
I don't feel like anything.
Yeah, there's no rights. There's no fair. There's no like. They're totally fucking different.
I'm just comparing two injustices.
Animals are totally in different lanes completely.
What's the difference? What's the difference?
Capacity for cognitive thought, emotion.
So what about a mentally disabled human?
So we're here again at 10 Market Animal Slave to bear witness to the auction off of animals, and apart from obviously seeing the animals and bearing witness to them and filming them and showing them as individuals, I want to talk to as many of the farmers and as many of the people who work here as possible. After all, these are the people who are most psychologically and economically invested in this way of life, and I want to ask them the questions I normally ask people to see if they have any different answers, to see if they can morally justify it in a different way, because these are the people that should be able to do that, and I want to see if I can reach any common ground and kind of break down any of those initial boundaries.
Do you shoot animals for a living?
Yeah, to eat.
You don't think animal cruelty is wrong, or?
I hate animal cruelty. Yeah, I'm a massive, I look at an animal to me like, I'm not saying I don't feel bad.
When you shoot, so you're going against your nature?
Absolutely, I would feel bad, yeah, of course.
So isn't that saying something, like, that you shouldn't be doing it, maybe? Like, but you sort of might have been conditioned through, you've been conditioned to think that it's normal and natural to shoot animals for food.
Well, what have we been doing for 6,000 years?
We've been killing each other for 6,000 years too. Does that make murder justified?
Absolutely not.
So there's things that we've been doing traditionally that aren't morally okay. Like in the animal's eyes, like there's no reason to do it. Like if we're
when an animal comes to you to kill you to eat, you're just going to go, mate, I'm all yours.
Fair enough, mate. No. Animals try to kill you, you're allowed to defend yourself, but cows, chickens, pigs never hurt no one. Chicken never hurt no one. But we're breeding them into existence for the sole purpose of confining them against their will and murdering them. Billions. I mean, I'm talking 150 billion a year.
Go on then.
Okay, I produce the animals that I eat.
Yep.
I look after them to the best of my ability.
Yep.
They're produced on my own farm.
Yep.
I see them when they're born. I look after them.
Yep.
I spend all day and all night looking after
Yep.
them. And so morally,
Yep.
I feel I'm justified to then
but
eat them.
what about morally? But why?
People have eaten meat for millions
But we've
of years.
also murdered and raped each other for millions of years. It doesn't make, just because we've done something for a long period of time doesn't make it moral today.
Then we can take it down to the level that, what the fuck, if the plant has feelings? How do you know the plant has feelings?
Because it's scientific consensus that plants aren't sentient. I mean, that is, there's no scientist, rational scientist on Earth that thinks that plants are sentient.
You're seeing them as a victim, I'm not.
Yeah. But why are they not victims in your eyes? They think and feel, right? They feel pain. They have an inherent preference to live their life like you and I do.
I don't inflict pain on them.
No, but they die. They suffer and die, and they don't want to. So even if they live a lovely life, they still die.
In the most humane way.
Well, what does the word humane mean? What does the word humane mean to you, as an objective definition?
Well, not having pain.
Or it's compassion and benevolence. But how do we compassionately kill an animal that doesn't want to die for an unnecessary reason?
Well, yeah, but you're
Do you think it's justified to kill one animal to feed humans when human beings can have something else to eat? We've got other products. We've got soy-based formula.
Life. Animals kill animals to survive.
Yeah, true. Do. That's a very good point.
So
but are we going to go out and kill each other because animals kill other animals?
Yeah, because they do, don't they?
But should we kill? Does that make killing justified? Does that make it okay? Because animals do something weird, or they shit in the grass, they don't wear clothes, they go and have sex without permission. They do all weird things in nature.
That happens in humans.
Yeah, but that's called rape, isn't it? And killing someone against their will is called murder. And these animals just can't say, "Hey, don't do that to me." You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a ridiculous.
They can't.
Argument.
And these animals just can't say, "Hey, don't do that to me." You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a ridiculous.
They can't.
Argument. Oh, that's a ridiculous.
They can't.
Argument.
Can anyone name the difference? Can anyone name the trait difference between me and a pig that justifies that difference in treatment? Sure, what is it, please?
I don't disagree with your standpoint, but there is a factual difference. Animals can reason and express themselves as humans can.
Absolutely.
The cerebral is not as developed.
Yes.
The brains are not as developed. So there is an actual difference. The reasoning ability and the intellect is dictated by God.
That's fair. So let me say, I find a human who has the same reasoning and intellect of a pig. Can I kill them?
They don't though.
But no, some mentally disabled people do have the intelligence of a pig. And 3-year-old children do as well. So if I find a mentally disabled person who has the intelligence of a pig, is it okay for me to kill them? So it's not the intellect. It's not the intellect that makes it okay.
I think for me, like the issue isn't necessarily just about the conditions. It's obviously the fact that these animals end up dead anyway. And from my personal opinion, even if we raise them beautifully, it's just the fact that they end up being killed in the first place.
From my point of view, we're omnivores. We eat meat.
Do you think just because we can digest something, does it make it moral? Like we could eat dog, but would that be moral to eat dogs?
It's not me, mate. It's not me doing chicken farming. It's not me, mate. It's not me.
But you are raising animals to kill them.
Listen,
you are raising animals to kill them. I'm not shouting shame on you.
From my point of view, those guys over there are the same as you. From your point of view, I'm the same as.
I don't agree. I don't agree because, as I said before, it's not about the conditions or the welfare. It's the fact that they're ultimately killed and exploited in the first place. And you can give them a lovely lush greenery, which you probably do.
In one moral point of view that you think it's not moral to.
Well, how do you morally justify it? How do you morally justify?
Very easily.
Go on then.
Okay, I produce the animals that I eat.
Yeah.
I look after them to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
They're produced on my own farm.
Yeah.
I see them when they're born. I look after them.
Yeah.
I spend all day and all night looking after them.
Yeah.
And so morally, I feel I'm justified to then
But
eat them.
what about morally? But why?
People have eaten meat for millions.
But we've
of years.
also murdered and raped each other for millions of years. It doesn't make just because we've done something for a long period of time doesn't make it moral today.
But do you agree that animals have moral value? They feel pain and suffer.
Of course they do.
So do you think it's justified that we put them in a slaughterhouse, but when they don't want to go in there, they don't want to die?
How do we know? We don't ask them.
Well, how do you know your dog doesn't want to die?
Yeah. She doesn't.
How do you know?
I will do my best to keep her alive.
But how do you know she doesn't want to die? Does your dog tell you? Does your dog tell you that the dog doesn't want to die?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to work. I've got better things to do.
Dog bacon. Would you eat dog bacon?
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing. It's just a different animal.
It is not.
How is it different?
Grow up into reality.
Well, it's just culture that determines which animal we eat. Don't you think it's culture that determines which animals we eat and which animals we play with and care for?
We pay wages to idiots like this.
I know.
To present news and so forth.
So that, well, because we care about animals in slaughterhouses. Come on.
For goodness sakes.
Do you think it's?
Do you think it's for 100 years? Do you think it's going to?
So is slavery. So is wars. So is people killing other people.
Yeah,
just because it's been, if it's been going on for a long time, doesn't mean it's okay.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
It's not going to stop like that, and it's not going to stop.
But you could agree with me that it's morally wrong to put animals in slaughterhouses.
No, I will not agree.
So you think it's justified?
You obviously.
It's a way of life.
So that's not a justification, though. It's what ethical thing happens in a slaughterhouse?
Oh, you haven't spent a day.
I've been in a slaughterhouse.
Oh, you have? Good.
What happens in there that's moral, or what happens in there that's humane?
Oh, go back to work.
A knife in the throat. Think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, that's quick.
I don't even know why we're arguing. A knife in a dog's throat is immoral. A knife in a pig's throat is the same thing.
I think you have got some issues with yourself.
But why? But you have to give me a reason, and if why a dog means more than a pig.
It's your perception. That's the only thing that's different.
Yeah, it's a perception.
Exactly. So in the pig's eyes, and in the dog's eyes, their life matters how much? The same.
It's called speciesism. It's like racism.
Think about that. Think about why you. Think about that. Why that is. Why you think pigs matter less and dogs matter more. It's an interesting thing to entertain. You don't have an answer.
Why is it wrong to cause them pain just because they feel it? Why? What's wrong about that?
Well,
it makes you feel bad.
No, well, of course it makes us feel bad because we can
I think
empathize,
that's the
right?
foundation of your belief. It makes you feel bad.
And why is that
if it
wrong?
doesn't make me feel bad, why would it be wrong for me to
So
do it?
if it doesn't make me feel bad to harm you, is that therefore moral and fine?
That's another.
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Okay. I'll let you.
And most people don't have carcinogenic issues. Most people don't have diseases because meat eating is mostly safe. If you have an imbalanced diet, if you're not eating the right things alongside it, you might get a bunch of tumours and cancer and your heart goes ping at some point in your life. But for most people, that isn't going to happen. Most people live a healthy life, eat meat all their life, love every bit of it. Nothing goes wrong.
Some people smoke cigarettes till they're 90. You know, and some people can smoke a few cigarettes here and there.
The average person doesn't die through eating meat, Joey.
You know that. Cigarette smoking doesn't cause lung cancer, and just because some people can eat meat their whole life doesn't mean eating meat doesn't cause heart disease.
If you eat the wrong...
I've already addressed it, mate. You're not smart. You're not as smart as you think you are.
I'm saying you're okay with killing rodents and insects, but you're not okay with killing cows.
Didn't say I was okay with it. Just told you earlier that this isn't about being perfect. If you're not going to have an intellectually honest discussion with me, this is over. You're being a fool. I told you that this isn't about being perfect and this isn't about causing zero harm. Are you listening to me or not? Veganism is about not exploiting animals as much as practicably possible. I've said that 3 times now. Do you understand that now or not? Do you understand that now?
I'm curious, are you wearing sunscreen?
Yeah, I am.
You're wearing sunscreen. I have a question.
Oh, I'm waiting to hear it. I can't wait.
Question.
Yeah.
So, if you had to obtain food in a natural environment, how would you obtain it?
That's a dumb question. I'm not in a natural environment. I would do what I can, obviously.
No, I mean,
Dude,
my point is whether you're consuming plants or animal foods.
What's this got to do with sunscreen?
Well, let me finish, because it makes sense. Whether you're consuming plants or animal foods, you have to be out in nature to obtain those foods, correct? If you're at a farm or you're hunting, right?
You mean in a survival situation? A legitimate...
No, not in a survival situation. If you were in a scenario where you had to grow your own crops or raise your own animals, you would have to be out in nature, right?
Again, is this like in a community, in a town?
The point is, our modern life has allowed us to obtain food in unnatural ways. And if you need to cover yourself up and wear sunscreen, and you can't even be in the sun for a couple hours in New York City...
Yeah, why did you shave?
Why did I shave?
Why did you shave your face? It's not natural, dude.
Because I don't want to look like a dirty piece of shit in the middle of New York City.
Oh, so you think... Oh, okay, so that... this guy, man. Dude, you shaved your face and you're standing here saying, don't use sunscreen. What? Dude, your argument is nature, though, and then you shave your face, and then you say, oh, I don't want to look like a piece of shit. Your arguments are fucking laughable, dude.
Do you understand there are some indigenous people that didn't have facial hair? And some people don't grow facial hair, right?
And so what?
I
know that you shaved your face, and that's why I'm asking you.
Every single human has to be in the sun, outside in nature, to obtain food. Shaving has nothing to do with that. Let me
your
explain this again,
your argument was nature though. Hashtag nature though. And then you shave your face. Yes, it is. You said it's not natural.
The argument is that
it's literally what you said.
The argument is that in order to procure calories as a human being, you have to be out in the sun. Because our modern amenities have allowed us to use supermarkets and obtain our food without having to be out in nature.
What has that got to do with you needlessly exploiting animals?
My point is that you have to wear sunscreen and cover up because you can't even be out in the sun for a few hours.
And you have to shave your face because you can't live with the fact that you're ugly.
We'll let the viewers decide that one. The guy wearing sunglasses. All right, who's next?
End of discussion. Don't hurt your feelings. Don't worry, you get over it, baby. It's all right.
Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who is your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid